And we're off and running. Now, let me move this over so I can. Okay. Today is the 16th of August, the upcoming week, 17th to the 21st. I'm going to hand this over for just a short moment to Ed Carter. He wants to invite everybody to a free webinar. Ed, go ahead and take over.
Hi guys, it's Ed. I'm going to post in the alerts area there. You're all invited to a webinar I'm presenting on Wednesday. If you can make it, I appreciate it. Oh boy, where is it? There we go. Got busy and was looking at the wrong link here. So here we go. Post it. Wednesday, 1 p.m. And if you're coming to the LTA training on Wednesday, I pushed it back to 3 to give myself some more time. So that's all I wanted to invite you to. But please feel free. There's 4 speakers that day, but I'm certainly the one that's leading off. So thank you very much. And Steve, it's all yours.
Thanks, Ed, and I'm glad that you're off first on Monday. I'm not sure. I may stick around for the first couple if I can make it. After that, training the brain, I'd have to get a microscope to find one. And top-down momentum strategy, I'm not sure. Maybe the Wiz can handle it, but I can't. Anyway, for those who can, go ahead. Ed is going to cover his 2 favorite setups and how to find and trade them. And he is going to give a couple of surprises. I'm going to cover that in just a little bit here. All right, disclaimer. Hey, make sure you know what you're doing. Trading involves risk of loss of capital. Try something out with paper trading before you try it live. I had one person I was working with, and I could not get the person to stop trading. They tried to follow everything that Rick Sadler did. She had actually gone from room to room to room and was following people and losing money and couldn't figure out what was going on. First thing I did is say, stop trading. Let's do some study. Let's talk about it, and then do it in paper trading, simulated trading. A week later, said, I give up. I've lost money. And I went, what are you talking about? And she was talking about a FedEx trade that she lost money, and then it went up. It said it never hit your stop. Well, I closed it because I was afraid. Afraid usually means you've got too much invested in there or something like that. But anyway, it's sad. All right, a little bit about my background. I'm an ex-U.S. Air Force fighter pilot with master degrees in both computers and business. Active trader since '98, full-time since '99, and a technical trader, but I do use some limited fundamentals, and primarily the fundamentals I use are after earnings. I'll look at short interest, things like that. And I do moderate from time to time. And, oops, I wish I could move that off of this one screen. All right. Stick around to the end. Got a couple of, actually about 2 or 3 different special offers at the end of the presentation. The agenda's going to be pretty short because of the thunderstorms we've got around here, and I still haven't had dinner. I had to shut my computer down in the afternoon. I was working right up to the last here on the slides. I'll do my best if you guys hang in there with me. We're going to cover the economic and earnings calendars, the market overview, some trade ideas. We've got a few on the long and the short side. Then we're going to do some Q&A. First, the non-stock specific ones, and then we'll take a look at your stocks, 1 per person, time permitting, and please keep it to 1. And please let me know if you're long or you're short, or you're looking long or short. That'll help me in the covering of this. Okay, economic reports. The biggie that we've got coming out this week, FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, right after Ed's presentation. That could be a market mover. Anything in the magenta, reds and greens, I think, could be market movers. Empire Manufacturing Survey and the Housing Market Index, and there's housing starts on Tuesday. So the only greenie that I don't see as a market mover, and I don't know why it's still listed as green, is the nat gas. It just doesn't seem to have any real major effect in the last few years. Here's Earnings Whisper's idea of their most anticipated earnings. I'll go over mine in a minute. I tend to disagree with some of them. They just go on to fill up the chart, it looks like. We do have Walmart and Home Depot Tuesday morning, Kohl's, Vance Auto Parts. Don't really see anything on Monday at all. Lowe's, Target, TJ Maxx, ADI, Analog Devices on Wednesday morning, NVIDIA, L Brands on Wednesday after the close, Baba before the open on Thursday along with BJ's, and I think that's pretty much it on the morning. Ross Stores. This is basically a retail week. John Deere, Foot Locker, Baozun, Buckle on Friday. All right, let's keep going. Here's my earnings calendar. And these are all the ones that basically have decent volume, average true range greater than 0.25, and yeah. Now, some of them, I'm not sure if I actually did the skinny out on this one. I ran into shutdown mode. There may be some in here that are thin on volume, so just be careful. Do your own homework and be smart. Let's talk about the market overview. Before I do that, what I want to do is I want to point out this little box over here called sector rotation. This last week, up until about the last couple of weeks, technology has been the big area where money has been flowing into. We've actually had the industrials and the consumer discretionaries start to pop up their heads this last week. So let's take a peek at that. What I want to do first is I want to go on over here to, I need to make out over the longs. I want to go to the T2122 lines. And you can notice here, we've been pushing up really broadly. Anything that would be almost 100% or over 95, this gets into the pullback zone, which means, we get kind of overbought. But what's happened is we do a little short pullback and then up again. Short pullback up, short pullback up. And what this is telling me is that it's a pretty much a broad-based rally. The number of 4-week new highs outnumbers the new lows between 4 and 5 to 1. That's pretty high. Are we due for a pullback? Yeah, but there's a lot of people who have probably been looking for the pullback for a while. Don't bet on it. And we're going to cover that in just a minute. Let me get out of here, go to the daily. And let's go to minimize this puppy here. Okay. All right. First one on my list here is Bank of America. Bank of America did its earnings back here, and the XLF is one of those that's been going up. Let's go over the rotationals here. Here's the industrials. We basically did kind of a cup. This could have been a handle over here, or it still could be. Stochastics RSI still tells me we either have to go sideways or down for a little bit, but we could go to the midpoint like we did back here in June. So we could go sideways to down for a day or so. XLY, consumer discretionary. This last week we just really bumped up, but it's actually been in a rally mode for a couple of months now. And we all know about the technology. The possibility exists that this, if it goes down from here and doesn't continue back up, that we've made a lower high and a lower low. So we've gone up to this 115.5. We went down here, a lower low below, say, this low here, but it isn't really, well, let me back off from that. It's not really a lower low yet. But if we don't go up, we will have made a lower high. And this is the low. So I've got a high, a low, and a potential high. And so this is the question mark I've got. If that turns out to be the high, we could be transitioning ourselves into a short-term downtrend. Does that mean I want to short the XLK or technology? No, not until we get a lower low and then get another rebound and then go lower. So I'm going to want to break this level, bounce, and then come back. XRT, retail. I know everybody's saying, how can retail be in rally mode for so long when we've got the COVID problem? Well, we've got online orders, and some people just don't care. They are going to go out regardless and do some shopping, pent-up demand. I'm not one of those. I do a lot of shopping online, and I'll defer my purchases till later, but I am only one of 300 and some odd million. Transports. Now, if anybody is a member or follower of Dow theory, we did kind of a scoop right here, and what Dow theory says, for us to sell goods and out to people, we've got to be able to transport it. Well, we do have a service economy to some degree, but we still have a lot of goods, and they have to be moved. Well, transports in the last week and a half to 2 weeks has really shot up. Now, that showed up to be in UPS and in FedEx. Both of those traded well. Financials, they're kind of lagging, but then again, the last week or so, they did a bit of a rally, doing a little bit of a pullback. As long as we stay up above about 2450 or so, I think we could be okay. But we did a bit of a bullish engulf on Friday too, so we have to watch. XHB, the home builders, and home builders includes a lot of stocks that are not necessarily just the actual home builders themselves. They include things like Lowe's, Home Depot, people that sell goods that go into homes, Whirlpool, Mohawk, what's the other one? Armstrong World Industries, AWI. XLP, been really strong, smooth breast, steady, Freddy. Not a sexy stock, but it's been going, our index has been going steady since mid-July, so over a month. All right, let's go on back here to the top. One of my nice one, move up, pull back. Potential for a J-hook would be CAT, but I'm going to need CAT to get over this 141.25 level before I would be thinking about going long. My stochastics RSI tells me we could have a few more days down or to the sideways, but because we're at that 140 level or 139.75, I'm going to keep an eye on it, see what happens. DuPont, bullish engulf, sideways on the stochastics. It could be getting set for another move up. Flowserve, FLS. Nice move up and then sideways, kind of digesting that move over the last few days. A move to the 34 to 35 level would not necessarily be out of the question. Here's another surprise. The Gap. I will warn you, the Gap has earnings on the 27th after the bell, but it does look like it's set up maybe to do a run into earnings. The 17th is about 11 days from today, so 10 days from tomorrow. So we're talking about a week and a half. So you could potentially ride that wave up into earnings. Honeywell, HON. Nice move up, consolidated and tried to digest that move. Wants to try to probably attack this 165 level and maybe even to break out. Good move on Friday for most of the move on Kroger. It got up to this 36 level, and I believe if I go over here to TC2000 and I back off, it got up right up here to this 35.65 level that we got to, what was that? In March. And we hit some sellers. So we got up there. So stochastics RSI's pointing upwards. Volume came in. I think we go back at least to 36, if not higher. We could break out. This is Lowe's, the insurance company, not the Home Depot competitor. It's doing a pullback. I don't like the fact that it did a 100% retracement here, but the fact that it's holding above support so far, stochastics RSI tells me maybe a day or two. MDRX. MDRX has, or had, high float short, 12% about a week or so ago. Probably a little bit less after this big move up. But I think we digested that big gap up from 7 to 9. And we're probably in the area trying to want to go higher and break out up to the $10 level or so. All right. One that surprised me is MGM. I guess the gamblers have got to gamble. We did a move up, gapped up over here, and I think that was on news about the casinos and resorts doing better than expected. And then we did a little bit of a pullback, and looks like we're probably going to try to attack those highs again, anywhere in the $23 to $24 range. Told you about Mohawk. Move up after earnings. Now, I don't know which of these two conference calls. I think this one was the conference call. And we did a little bit of a pullback. As long as we move higher than Friday's high, I can see us going up to 95 to 100. I talked about transportation. UPS was on my list. I got out before earnings. It gapped up. I never got back in, and UPS had a big, huge move here when they announced that they were going to have fuel surcharges for the big shippers, the high volume shippers, for Christmas. And that's why we're trickling up the 45-degree runner. This may or may not be a good long, but my stochastics RSI tells me it has a pretty good chance of breaking out. Okay, based upon earnings and the fact that they had, so that's one fundamental. The second fundamental was raising their prices that they charge people, and the fact that now momentum has, we've gathered some momentum for maybe the next move up. Another one out there that's done well is Verizon. And looks like we're doing a big curl up, another possible J hook here. Stochastics is okay. And that takes us over to the shorts. Obviously, VIX is always on my list, just in case we do a big downturn. BILI. It does report on the 26th after the market close. That's about 10 days away from tomorrow. We may have the opportunity to ride down to the $38 level into earnings, or maybe even lower. So we did a down move followed by a bounce up back up to the 50, and if we go lower than Friday's low, it looks like a decent short to me. CORT Therapeutics would be a potential short, but only if, in my mind, if we actually go back up to this 1410 to 1425 level and then roll over. I don't really like it from the current position, but if it rallies to about this level here and then rolls over, I think we retest the $13 level. DaVita Inc. Huge move down after earnings. We're kind of trying to hang on to the 50-day moving average here. I think if it does the same thing, kind of goes sideways to slight up to maybe about 84 and then breaks, our stochastics RSI will also curl over and it'll be a good short, maybe to 79 level or even potentially 75. Another one that's ran up in anticipation of the COVID problem and is kind of given up the ghost is NASDAQ Biotech, IBB. So IBB is in a solid confirmed downtrend here. Now, is it a little late on this one? Possibly. I'd love to see a bounce up to about the 137 level or lower, but what I would use here is I would use IBB as a litmus test. What I mean by that is I go look at IBB and open the components. I'm going to sort it by market cap. This is the beauty of having TC2000. And now I go through these and say, Amgen looks like a potential short if it rolls over. Sanofi. They're all the biggies. REGN. Regeneron looks like a potential short, but it is a $600 stock. That's why it wasn't on my list. ILMN probably below 340. Nope, on Biogen. SGen. Seattle Genetic, it looks like a potential short. mRNA had all that hype, but it was probably overbought and overdone. And so you can see, by finding an ETF that, like IBB, that is in a solid downtrend, you could then go and find out its components and potentially find something going down, or on the opposite side if it's going up. Now, the only thing I would mention here is that IBB probably should have been shorted up here on this last bounce up. Right now, my squeeze indicator and my stochastics RSI are both saying we're going to bounce up. But if we bounce up to the 50 and roll over, yeah, I could take that. Again, some of these are set up very well, and some are not set up well at all. All right. Whoops, not that one. Team down. We bounced up to the T-line. Looks like we're rolling over. I believe that we're going to try to touch this 200 period moving average here. So it's going to act as a magnet. After their earnings, they've been in and a downtrend ever since. Now, I believe that I'm missing a couple of my stocks there. Yeah, CYBR, DDOG, and PLNT. Okay. CYBR. This is a perfect, classic short setup. Down, bounce up, hit the T-line /17 exponential, rolling over. Probably heading down to the 106s. DDOG. Down move on earnings or losses. Move back up to what? Move back up to the top of the gap down. Now it looks like it potentially could roll over. If we get a rollover below Friday's low, we could potentially go down to 75. And PLNT Fitness. And I can tell you right now, the PLNT Fitness down the road from me used to be the place to go here, and they just opened up a Crunch Fit or whatever the heck it's called, and those guys are absolutely booming. They're eating their shorts, and they're just right across the street from them. This does look like a fairly classic rollover. Bounce back up above the T-line, and if we break below Friday's low, stochastics tells me we're going lower. What our first target would be around 50. Okay, let's go on back to the presentation here. There's the trade ideas we were talking about. I posted those earlier. All right, 1 second, CB. All right, I did say if you stick around, you'd have a couple of offers out here. One of them is, if you are not a member of Hit and Run Candlesticks or Right Way Options, you can get for $49 2 months in either of the rooms. I would suggest not joining both of the rooms at the same time, but join one of the rooms, and then if you're still in doubt, join the other room. Then figure it out, and then come back and decide which room you want to be in. I bounced between both of them, but they're both very good. The Right Way Options focuses really on options. Doug Campbell, who is the moderator there, is probably the smartest. He's probably forgotten more about options than I'll ever know. And I know I'm not a dummy when it comes to trading options. Hit and Run Candlesticks. Rick talks about the stocks and focuses on the stock, as does Doug, but he will use options to trade some of those stocks. In fact, most of them. So and leverage his trade. So options are just the vehicle we use to trade, but we're trading off of the price action on the stock, support, resistance, and chart patterns. I will point out that there is a 14-day free trial for the LTA scanner. I don't remember the last time we've had one of these, so if you're even remotely interested, jump on in. Want to attend Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock Ed will be in the LTA room and will be able to answer any of your questions. He is in the support room every day during the market hours. Let me grab. Whoops. That's the room that that's the login, and when you look at the live support market hours, go here, and it will pop up a room, no password required. The password would be for me when moderating or Ed. And just again, for those who are interested in going and getting the other freebie that Ed is going to give out. And go down here. Wait, not only is he going to give out a 14-day free trial, he's going to give out his goal planning spreadsheet. And you can get that free for just attending. So just sign up and do your thing. Let's see what we've got going on here. If you want to follow me, if you are so inclined, I post information out on StockTwits at Top Gun Trading, and I have a YouTube channel where we're going to post the copy of the video tonight. I would appreciate if you would sign up and maybe subscribe there. And I think I post every one of the presentations that I do on Sunday night, and then a few others from time to time. However, I do have a lot of good information and good videos from the past on things like trading earnings, trading gaps, my favorite patterns, and the like. All right, I'm going to open it up. CB, could you repost your question, please? It's scrolled off. No, Jay Clark, no stocks yet. This is general questions, not stock specific. Lauren asks, she's been, hey, no problem. I've been paper trader on a $10,000 account with 68% one loss. Considering scaling up, any suggestion what you consider when looking to scale up? Well, a lot of it when you scale up or when you set up your risk amount, and that's what I do, is I set up how much I'm willing to lose and put into each trade. And that tells me where my stop is going to be. So your stop is going to tell you how much you can go into. Now, potentially, in my case, I started at 100. Then I went to 200. Then I went to 400 as my account got larger. I do not use a percentage. Percentages don't do anything for me because I want a dollar amount. Okay, so therefore, that will tell me how many either option contracts, futures contracts, or shares that I can get. But I do the calculation. I do it in my head. If my stop on a stock, let's grab one real quick as an example. What was it that we gotta find one that's reasonable in cost? Well, okay, MDRX might work. I'd call it around $10 stock. It's $9.30. If I'm going to go long, and if I'm going to set my stop here about $8.80, I'm risking from $9.39 to below here. That's 35 cents. We round it to 50, and let's say that at the first target is the high water mark here on that gap up day, and that's $1.15. That's about a 2.5 to 1. And let's just say that it's $9.50. Call it $10. If I'm going to risk 35 cents, I can do $100, and 33 cents would be approximately 300 shares. And I'm doing this in round numbers, just pulling it, roundabout numbers. And if I wanted to risk $200 on this trade, I'd double it to $600. So you may want to try something like that. Okay. CB's good. Could you please call out the 3 studies you're using on TC2000? Okay. Here's Stochastics RSI. I'm going to go to Studies, Edit Studies, Stoch RSI. I use RSI length of 7, Wilder's close, K period 7, D period 3, slowing 3, and simple. So it's 7, 7, 3, 3. And I use that on all time periods, including all the way down to 5 or 15 minute chart, all the way up to the weekly and the monthly. Now, that stochastic number, when I go to larger time frame like a weekly, it will be less drastic, less like a V and more rounded. So if I were to go and then change this to time frame, see how they don't go, they're not V bottoms, but they are V bottoms. But on a weekly basis, there are two things at play. One, if you get in on a weekly candle, you need to trade the weekly candle, and it's going to give a fairly wide stop. So I don't normally trade off the weeklies, but I will look at them from time to time. Now, obviously this is volume here in the middle, and then on the bottom here it's the TTM squeeze. I've added that back in here recently, and that's just because someone was asking me about it, and I was talking to him about it, and I decided to keep it on. It doesn't work with all stocks at all times. It's just what this does. Let's do studies, edit studies, TTM squeeze, out of the box, closing price, 20, 1.5, 20, 2.0, and 1.0. I think those might be the standard out of the box settings, but those are the settings I used, and they seem to work. And what they do is if, let's see if I can get a further out. Oh shoot. Let me change this. All right. When these go down into the reds here, it means it's starting to get oversold, and the chances are you're going to go back up. Yellow turns to blue. When you get back up here, what they're saying is what you want to do is be buying on the upslope and then selling after it peaks out and starts on the downslope there. It does tend to lag with that 20 period. You may want to shorten that period to something smaller. But I think that was what I had originally used. Okay, those are the three. Now, moving averages, 8 exponential, 17 exponential, 50 simple, 200 simple, and 100 simple. Just because I know some people are watching the 50 and the 200, I am not going to use any moving average for anything except to help judge trend. And this XLP changed its trend somewhere in the first part of July, and it's been in a solid uptrend ever since. Okay. Reggie, yes, you can use the coupon for Hit and Run Candlesticks. So it's good for one, and then the other you will not be held out just because you used it for one. Jason wants to know how I use the TTM squeeze and how do you with chain hooks 3/8. I tend not to use them except confirming. I'll use also the stochastics RSI for as a confirming indicator. What I will do here, I think I've got something on stochastics RSI. I saw it, one of them up there. All right, let's talk. That right there is on my trading stochastics RSI and with gaps. And there's another one down here that, for those who like to trade rounded bottom breakouts, this one right here, I found something about using a 100 period simple moving average. If the distance between the 50-day and the 200 is very large, then a lot of times they'll go up to the 50 level and then wig-waggle. Okay, now let's go back up here and see. Let me change this. Nope. Okay, that's good. What is the RBB beta in your TC2000? No problem there, Jason. Okay. I don't really mean to get into this tonight, but I'm looking at the history, the volume, and the, okay, so it's RBB beta. What you really want, if you have TC2000, if you don't have it, this is not going to mean a lot to you. There's the RBB beta, and basically what it's looking for is, this comes from Rick, it's a good one, that it's basically below the 200, above the 34 and the 50, and making a move up. So it's rounded bottom breakout. So it's really between the 50 and the 200, and there's more than 10% up from the current price to the 200. Now let me see if I can find one. No. We've been in an uptrend so much that try to find one that has a huge difference. TBT has that huge difference, but that's not going to work. All right. For giggles, let me artificially say that IYE would have the 100 period moving average would be halfway or roughly halfway between the two, because the difference here is large and around a bottom breakout. If that was the 100, it would probably rally to about that level and pull back a little, and either pull back and fail or pull back and go back up and make the second move up to the 200. Okay, let's see. Ask again if I did not answer your question on the RBB. Anil, I don't have any software for profit and loss tracking spreadsheets. Google it. Maybe make your own. And Jason, I answered your question on using the 60-day coupon on the opposite room. That's still good. And Reggie, you're still good. I think I answered your question, Bob, but if I haven't, ask it again. Thanks, Ed. Is a TTM squeeze for TC2000? The answer is no. It's proprietary. John Carter created it. And the folks from Thinkorswim have a license for it, so you can plot it. Free trial for TC2000? No. Go to tc2000.com. I don't know that they possibly do have a free trial. You may want to look around in here. There might be a free trial in here. If not, you can sign up on their monthly plan or even their annual plan. And what will happen is if you decide not to use it, they will refund you your money. Not 100% of it, but the unused portion. So you may want to ask them. Reggie, I'll assume the send the link was for TC2000. Oh, are you? Well, I've already posted the. Yeah. I agree with Ed. I haven't seen it in a while. And Bill, I do not have a scanner for an Ninja Trader. I'm not, well, I basically consider myself a carpenter, and I have a toolbox out there. I have TC2000 out here that helps me manage watch lists. So when you see that, you see my personals out here, my longs, the shorts that I'm looking at, and I create these and then copy them over, as you saw, to TC2000 to do the execution. This is my real-time charting program, even though I have real-time in TC2000. I'm not trading in TC2000, I'm trading here, so I stay here. Have them logged, and I watch the markets, watch my potential longs and shorts. What else? I use the LTA scanner to help me find stocks in the pre-market and find stocks to trade intraday. And I find it to be excellent when you can not have to sit there and worry about every stock. You can put all of your stocks in the LTA scanner and let it do the hard work of monitoring for you. And Ed will be able to help you in that regard. How much for TC2000? You'll have to ask them the pricings level and data plans. They have silver, gold, and platinum. Forget about silver. Gold is the lowest. It's delayed data, and you do have some things that are not in there. To be honest with you, gold plus the $15 a month for your data plan is what I have. I actually have it not on a monthly plan. I buy it 2 years at a whack. So it's in the $530 to $550 range. And it's basically like getting a couple of months free every year. So I reduce my costs that way. So there's that biannually, yep, $22.49. Monthly, $30. Annually, $25. Biannually goes down to $22.50. Okay, let's see. What is the study called that shows the squeeze? Okay, Ann, let's go here. Edit studies. TTM squeeze. So if I go over here, TTM, and you see all the ones, trade the markets is TTM. There's an LRC, scalper alert, trend, wave, yada yada. The only one that I've ever used that I've been able to make sense out of was the TTM squeeze. And then you click on it, you put the parameters in. I'm not sure that I have these parameters correct, okay? Because these should actually amplify closer to what the stochastics RSI is than it currently is. But I don't want the same parameters, otherwise I'd just be looking at the exact same thing. I want slightly different, but not exactly the same. That's probably why I dropped it off, and I probably need to drop it off again. I do not want to tell you that I use the TTM. I was doing it because someone had asked me for it, and I apologize for it still being on the charts. Okay. Do not mean to confuse you with the facts. CB, does CC have a light background on its charts? Yes, you can change your settings. Is this the light background you're talking about? This is white. And edit chart properties, colors and grids, background color, gradients, yada yada. Basically, I think it's one of the best programs out there for the cost, that you can customize pretty much everything. I don't use it to scan. I use the LTA scanner. I will scan after hours and on weekends with the scanner, but I'm sorry, the TC2000. But I use the scanner during live market hours. Malcolm. John Carter, been using squeeze over a decade. YouTube has a lot of. Yep, that's true. Yeah, just YouTube search. Whoops. Under here, TTM squeeze, think or swim, and you got a whole bunch of people out here talking about it. Be careful. A lot of these guys are just shills. You may want to well, I don't use the scan. These guys are trying to tell you you can scan for it, and I just don't do that. And this one right here, Mandeep talks about how to use the TTM on Thinkorswim. You may want to give it a shot. Yeah, John Carter. So if I and you can go in there and he'll talk about the squeeze. And of course, he's going to try to sell you the stuff, but right in here, he'll talk to you about the squeeze stuff. Okay? All right. I am going to open up for stocks, one and only one. I don't have a whole lot of time here tonight, but bear with me, guys. You should not be zooming up there, folks. Come on. All right, what's happening here? Okay. It's scrolling to the bottom and it should not. Okay, let's see what's happening. CRM. You didn't tell me whether you want to go long or short, but I'll assume long. I don't like how deep it pulled. It did 100% retracement of the last move up. Doug Campbell, a guy I really respect, he will not trade anything below the volatility stop dots. So red dots are stop sign. The red light, green light. If he's got green, he can go. If it's red, you don't. You got to stop. Well, I don't always hold that one totally, but this one I probably would say so. Make it do this. Make it move up, pull back, and curl back up. And then go long here for a retest of the 210. Don't go long here. Make it prove that that was the bottom. Because in fact, CRM could be doing one of these things. Zigzag lower. That looks like a bear flag to me. Okay? Let's try that again. That look like a bear flag maybe? We got to train our eyes to be able to see the patterns, and after a while you'll get used to it. Classwork from Lauren. All right, it did a nice run here for a couple of months. Looks like a pullback. Stochastics RSI says it still has to pull back some more. Let's see if we... How about... Whoops. One level could be right here at $30. The first level of pullback would be about 31. If it hits 31 and pulls back up, and your stochastic starts to pull back up, I could say go for it. Now let's look and see what the weekly. Yeah, I already had the weeklies boxed out. Again, it's also one of those that's in the industrial space. We're rotating into it, or we have been. Okay. J. Clark now on get your T-Doc. Yay. I'll assume long. No, not long. Hopefully you're looking short. Whoops. Got carried away there. That right there looks a lot like a bear flag. If it could get up to this 50-day period moving average and roll over, I think Teladoc could be a short. Betsy's looking at NVIDIA. I'm going to assume you're also looking at it long. They're about ready. You know they're about ready to announce their next graphics cards, right? Could get a pretty decent pop. It's a $400 stock, probably going to be an option play. Make sure you don't overpay for it. Make sure that the bid-ask spread is not too wide, but for $400, it's probably going to be a little wider than the normal stock. Maybe wait for a pullback. Right here does look like we're on the way up. I don't like to buy breakouts. I like to play the reaction to a breakout, the pullback. Pull back and curl up like it did here. Pull back and buy that one. That's, well, this right in here. Silly boy. That's what I like to buy, that pattern. V bottom, boom. Buy midday. Okay, Visa long. Oh boy. You see what I've got drawn here with Visa. Visa's in no man's land. We haven't gone anywhere for a while. Now that could be for the fact that maybe a lot of people aren't shopping, although the retailers are telling us that people may be shopping, or the markets are buying them in anticipation of them coming back. But right now, unless we get a breakdown below 190-ish, 188, or above 200, I'm not going to go for this one. I do not give you permission for that. Malcolm, Mr. Cost. Yeah, I remember what I had Costco at 175 bucks. No longer. Okay. Costco did pop out of the box. Pulled back to what? Pulled back to the top of the box. Here's the problem I've got. It is curling back up on stochastics. And if we continue up and get over about 340 and then pull back and then go back up, I'd be interested. Right now, we've really got some resistance here right around that $340 level. Let me look at the 60-minute chart. Yeah, this stuff right about here. I'd be less inclined right now until it proves to me that this is the bottom and it wants to go higher. This is a hell of a move to the downside last Tuesday. Don't know why. Somebody was unloading. And it wasn't mom and pop. Bill wants to look at Gilead. Remember Gilead. I'll assume you're asking for a long on Gilead, but we're going to have to break the downtrend. Now let me go over here. I use EMA only chart to help me figure out what the trend is. Over here to the left, it's obvious we were in an uptrend. Right in here, we were in a downtrend, and we're in a downtrend again. With this one in the middle, hey diddle diddle, stuck in the middle, no trend. You take away the candles, and this tells you what the trend is, and that's what I use moving averages for. I use the 8 exponential, which is the blue line, and the 17, which is the magenta line. So I would say this one's a no-go, even to short it, because what you're going to want to short it is you're going to want to bounce up into the 70 to 72.50 level and then a rollover. Right now, it's really kind of trying to set a little bit of a bottom, and the stochastics are telling me it's trying to set a short-term bottom. All right, MY wants to look at Grub, and thank you for putting long on there. I appreciate that. I would say no on Grub because of the candle there until it either probably above 78 to 78.50 on the upside. Yeah. Wait for it to pull back. You've got your pullback here and it gapped up. A lot of people don't want to buy gap ups. It depends on what's going on. Sometimes gap ups are not a bad thing to buy, especially if they're on earnings. On this one, 726. I don't know when their earnings were. Yeah, that gap up there on earnings was not a bad buy. It gapped up really about it. It did really kind of a pop out of the box, and then it pulled back. Where did it pull back to? The top of the box, and then ran. So if you went long on this breakout day after earnings, you did not get stopped out if you stayed on the T-line. And as you ran it up and got up to 76 or so, you probably took a little bit off the table. And you may still be long because it closed right on top of the T-line there. So, Grub, I would say that Grub is telling you that it wants to pull back until it gets over the 78.50 level. Okay. That is the RBB beta. And TC2000. Am I still on the hourly here? No, you're talking about... Oh, I'm on the hourly on TC2000? Nope, I'm on the daily. Maybe I moved over there and I'm not on the hourly anymore. That one right there tells me I'm on the 3-month 1 day. Okay. Thanks, T-Boo. Okay. No, Bill, that's not a parabolic SAR. It is an adaptation of the TC2000 volatility stop. And there's the volatility stop. Do I have it open? No, I don't. Shit. Okay, hold on. It won't work. There it is. Okay. There is the volatility stop in TC2000. And if you try to do it in... All right, where is it? All right, where are you? Studies. Edit studies. Ah, shared vol stop. Whoops. All right. I don't know that I can post it out there. At least I can't do that tonight. Val, do I have my indicator for TOS based on the 17 EMA? I don't know what indicator you're talking about, but the magenta line here is the 17 exponential moving average. And Tom asked the question, how do you get the floating multiple time frame chart set up at TOS? Multiple time frame. Are you talking about the tabs? I don't have enough time tonight, Tom. Val. Well, you'll have to ask Rick. Yeah, this one. Okay, if you go out and YouTube and Google how to set the tabs in Thinkorswim, time tabs across the top. Basically, it's up over here in the right-hand corner. Configure your buttons, and then you can add a button. So if I took one away and I add the button, then it will allow me to name it, go in and put a study style or delete, but basically I put in a style. In this case, it was the 5-minute, and then it'll put it in there. You can put in a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4. You can put 7. You better be pretty short in your abbreviations, though, so you can see them. Is it in this room, Ed? The drive folder? I'm not sure. Okay, great. All right. No other questions. I'm going to call it a night, please. I still haven't had dinner, and I'm not really feeling all that great. I have been fighting some sort of tooth problem for the last 3 days. I will answer your question, Lee. You have the honor of being last. Yeah, you guys are welcome. Do you prefer to use for aftermarket? I do not use the LTA scanner unless I have it open. I can go, and if you're talking about, I use both. I use the LTA scanner, and you can talk to Ed about how he does it. But basically, I don't have them open right now. But I look at my scans that I have already running, and look at each one of the stocks that are on that list, and I will use the same setups that I have in LTA in my TC2000. And the good part about it is here is LTA. I could put my favorite scans in there, looking for J hooks and looking for say, if you like bullish engulfing, if you wanted morning stars, whatever it is you like, you could put that in there, and it will do it in real time, and you don't have to go all the scans. And the LTA, sorry, in the TC2000, I got plenty of time at night. Does that answer your question there, Lee? It's not really hedging my bets, but it depends. If it's not on that list, I mean, obviously it's not on the list. Oh, Reggie, I'm sorry I missed your store. This one looks pretty good. Make sure that it continues up there. I think we go to 27 on store there, Reggie. All right, folks. I will have the recording posted to the YouTube channel in probably a little over an hour. All right, you guys take care. I'm feeling a little bit better than I did. All right, take care.